manyoko so we ya son anamu. Kia kwani bato we atomoni o ya do mo si akwie ya o. Amo manyoko so we ya son den bemu o. Kia kwani bato we atomoni o ya do mo si akwie ya o. Kia se pa yanju o kia se pa yanju o kia kia sa pa yanju ka o kia ma si pa yanju o so si o lele o si o lele o ya si o lele o ya si o lele yo amo manyo ko so wi ya son dan bemu Kia kwani bato we atomoni o abiyan me do mo si akwie ya o. Kia se pa yan jijo mama. Kia se pa yan jijo re son ke. Wo kia ya kia. Kia se pa yan ju o. Kia ya uri money. Mo re tole se ma bembe son bi. Kia ya uri manyo e abatoni.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
All right. It's a beautiful day, a beautiful Thursday night here. My name is Leo Johnson. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I will be your guest host for tonight. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to viewers around the world, wherever you are. I have three distinguished individuals with me here tonight that will be helping us dive through. Our usual host, Mr. Dennis Jah, could not be with us tonight, so I'll be filling in, but I'm excited to chat with Jimmy Eastman, Dr. Abdullah Dukle, and our own friend here, J. Victor Nangbe. Three astute individuals you already know if you are a Focus on Liberia viewer or audience that will be helping us dive through. So without wasting any time, I'd like to go around and let them just quickly say something to our audience, intro, whatever they want to do, but hear from them before we start to dive deep into our topics for tonight. Jimmy, I'll start with you.
Okay, thanks, Leo. It's nice to be here today. We are seeing the formation of a new administration, many appointments, and where it kind of gives us an indication of where this administration is headed. So lots to talk about, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jimmy. Dr. Dukle?
Yes, thank you, Leo. Good to see you, and welcome back to the screens. Yes, I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to a good discussions on legal issues, new government appointments, and policy issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to Mr. Nangbe.
Hey, Leo. Great fan. First time meeting. It's good to see you and meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. These are pretty interesting times in Liberia, and it's good to be here tonight to contribute whichever way we can to help the process.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nangbe. And there you have it. That's your crew for tonight. So I would just do a quick run through the topics here, and then we will hit it right on our first one. So there are a few things we'll be talking about tonight. So we will be talking about, we'll be getting a reaction, first of all, from those that have been confirmed. Some of the appointees by President Boakai have been confirmed. We saw today the Minister of Finance, we saw the LRA boss, and then we also saw the Minister of Education. We saw Double Jala from LRA. We saw Dr. Jasso Male Jala from Ministry of Education. And then we saw Mr. Boima Kamara from Minister of Finance. So we'll be getting a reaction on that. And then we'll talk about this whole issue with the Central Bank of Liberia versus President Boakai's statement, the discrepancy of what was actually left in the accounts. We will be looking at that to just see what's the real cash balance. Because so far we've had two numbers. So we've seen the central bank governor before the Senate providing his testimony versus what was announced in the State of the Nation address a few days ago on President Boakai. And then we will look at, I call it drama, high-class drama today at the Liberian Senate with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs. Today we were supposed to have her confirmation hearing going as well, but it was abruptly called off. Apparently, we were told for security reasons and some other factors by Senator DeLon, who is the chair of that committee. So we will get a reaction to that. And then we will talk about the alignment of President Boakai's legislative agenda that he laid out a few days ago versus the appointments that you were seeing. We'd like to get your thoughts on that. Are you able to match it? Does it give us a clear indication of where things are headed? And then obviously the favorite part of the show, the Tapata of the week. But let's get right into it. Dr. Ducle, I will start with you. Your reaction to the confirmations today of three of President Boakai appointees that went through the Senate.
Well, I don't think there were any surprises. Once Boama's name was put forward, I think, that was a foregone conclusion. And then, of course, LRA, Dr. Jala, he has a reputation of, being straightforward. So I don't think there was any surprises there. I don't know the third one. I think that's the Minister of Education, but I don't know her. So, but she did go through. So, people will say, well, yeah, we're recycling, Boakai recycling, but I think this is, we should never forget, it's still Unity Party. Joe Boakai picked up Unity Party where Ellen left it off. He didn't say, I'm going out of Unity Party. He restructured Unity Party to his own liking and then won the elections. So it means that people who he thinks are very viable from the past can be useful, yeah, he would take them.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Ducle there. And while you're going at it, Jimmy, as I come to you also, it would be great if you could add, if you watched any of the confirmation hearing, what's your reaction to the level of scrutiny that was put forth on these candidates by the Senate as well, if you had the opportunity. But Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, I was chance to watch some of the confirmations, and I listened keenly to the quizzing of people like Melvin Snow, Senator Melvin Snow, and Bezonga Finley, and a couple of them I listened to, and my impression was that I wanted to see the questioning in a manner that would bring out the thought process and the capabilities of the candidates, where they will be able to display their talent, display their capability in the various situations, and opine on some of the reservations they have. For instance, we have the issue with Israel today, which is a hot issue. I remember just the other day, the President Weah had to make sure he changed the vote. That was to they voted on issuing maybe sanctions against Israel. What I think those sort of issues were to be asked to get clarity on the position of the candidate. And if we do not ask the proper questions, then we will not give that candidate the proper evaluation. We're not giving the Liberian people the opportunity to get the best candidate, to get a knowledgeable candidate and get a candidate who definitely acting in their favor. So, but to ask the right questions, I think the senators themselves need to be prepared on the matter at hand. For instance, the public ministry, there's a concept of having an engineer as the Minister of Public Works. So this is something that was erected some time ago. I don't necessarily I've been in the engineering field for over 30
Jimmy,
years.
I don't want you to go too deep because we will go. I just wanted to get your initial reaction.
Okay.
On that today.
Okay, let me leave it there.
Yeah, so you would definitely get the time when we come around to kind of delve into it a little
No,
bit.
you won't have the time.
I hear you. Yes, but Mr. Nangbe,
Yeah.
we're satisfied today. So far, we've seen 3 nominees that were confirmed today by the Honorable Liberian Senate. Were you satisfied with the level of scrutiny, or what are your reactions?
Well, unlike Jimmy, I wasn't fortunate to watch the proceedings live, and so whatever I know of the process was from reading other people's commentary. I read on Front Page, for instance. I took keen interest in the Minister of Education because myself, I'm in education, and so and what I read didn't sound like a back and forth. Basically, it was a reporting of her comments, kind of outlining what she saw as challenges to the education sector. Lack of funding, lack of training, and the devastation, caused by COVID and stuff like that. But that kind of impressed me. At least it sounded to me like someone who has really done some good bit of deep diving and is coming to the office with quite a good bit of appreciation of the task ahead of her. But the other confirmations I heard that the foreign minister designate made quite an unusual, I think, entry, and so I think that kind of led to the postponement of the hearings. But I will underscore to piggyback on the comments that Jimmy just made. I think I'll underscore the importance of our foreign minister, taking seat as quickly, whoever that would be, so that Liberia will begin to take her role on the international stage. I think some of the comments Jimmy made, they underline the importance of our presence on the international stage.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nangbe. Welcome, Honorable William Greaves. We were just talking about you and Mr. Jad thought Dr. Tukwe was going to miss you if you're not here. So thank you for actually coming on. Thank you for actually joining us.
I can't go without my
Thanks for having me.
My little brother, I can't go without him.
Yeah. No, thank you for joining us. And why I'll just let you do it in one swoop. I was just getting reactions from the panelists. Today, President Boakai first, one set of nominees were approved or confirmed through the Senate, through the Liberian Senate today. So we had Dr. Doba Jala for LRA. We also had the Minister of Finance, Honorable Boema Kamara. And then we had the Minister of Education, Dr. Jasso Mali Jala. Those were the 3 nominees that were confirmed today. What's your reaction? The question was, were you pleased with the level of scrutiny that the Senate provided in its responsibility to provide oversight when it comes to handling of the executives?
Thanks for having me again once more. Good evening, everybody. Happy to be here. What happened? It's a traditional thing. When a new administration is coming into leadership, there are a lot of leniency that takes place, especially looking at individuals who have served before, who have the level of experience and all that. So the president would need his lieutenants, his cabinet to be formed, because there are a lot of things that they need to start looking into, getting deep into, and analyzing and seeing as they formulate their roadmap plan moving forward and tackling those issues that they've been talking about over the period. So it makes sense that the Senate was very cohesive, very cooperative in fast tracking these batch of officials that have been confirmed, so that the business can start, because Liberian people need to start moving forward. We can't sit back and be playing politics and what. That was a good one.
Yeah, so let me push you a bit hard on this one. So usually when nominees are sent to the Liberian Senate and they get confirmed, and they go to do their jobs, and there's dismal performance, or things are not going according to plan, or everything. There's always, we tend to go back to the Senate and say, oh, why is the Senate even approving these people or confirming these people? Blah blah blah. Is there really any way the Senate can really be able to test the competence, like what people can expect during confirmation hearing, you think, or regardless of what the Senate do? Because some people can present very well on paper. When they sit before you, they present very well on paper until they get to the actual work that they're supposed to do. Then you see the discrepancy. What do you think?
You make sense. I mean, that's a good point. The way how you put it, but you got to understand also these are times where we find ourselves in government. A new administration is coming, and the individuals, the names we just mentioned, are people who have had experience in these areas. We know what the balance when it comes to leadership, when it comes to their own competence. Although you don't, just like you said, I agree with you. You don't only look at competence, because there are two things you have to look at when you're in these public roles, when you're a public servant: the foresight and the insight. So you have the correlation of the two. Insight that has to do with the competence, the qualification, the experience. The foresight that has to do with the integrity, the honesty, and so forth. And production. Can you produce? Are you productive? So for this one, I think we're seeing few of those who were there who have served in the past, at least. So it made it a little easier for the Senate to be able to go back and just review on some of that. Yeah. So this was much easier. So even if the Senate fast track this, it makes a lot of sense. Now you can scrutinize public officials as much as possible. It still doesn't determine, or it still doesn't give the confidence, that assurance that when they shall have taken office, they are going to be productive, or the lack of that. So it's just the way of, sometimes you got to do your work exactly as it is, but sometimes you have to be flexible, knowing the situation at the time, especially at this time in the nation. Moving forward, when the government has sat in a little confirmation of what have you can scrutiny to the last of it, especially with new names, people that having had the experience, the track record, and then that will make sense. But for now, I think the Senate is just trying to be cooperative with the executive, so that the executive can have the means to be able to carry out this on the agenda and not be handicapped.
Thank you.
Leo, if I may just quickly add,
Yeah,
I believe it was Dr. Dukley or Jimmy who mentioned. I think this is where also the various chairs of the various committees also matter. If you want the Senate, the Committee on Education, right? You want the committee to be chaired with someone who has some degree of familiarity with the subject matter. Because this is where they will grill the candidate based on how much knowledge they have in the area. They have to be familiar with the problems. They will be looking for models coming from these candidates, what their intentions are to deal with these problems, and what new ideas they're bringing to the table. So I think it's just beyond just reading out the CV presented by the candidates, and asking questions, but it matters, who conducts the hearings, and how much they themselves are familiar with the subject matter.
Yeah, Dr. Duke, I will come to you. I caught a high-end drama today at the Liberian Senate. So the Minister of Foreign Affairs designate, as appointed by President Walker, His Excellency, had her confirmation hearing scheduled today at the Senate. And she showed up today. It was the same. Like, there were people from everywhere. There were cultural troops, there were dancing troops, there were former government officials, the crowd. So there was that, like I saw a little bit of it. It was just overwhelming. In fact, at one point, senators walked into the chamber, people were sitting in their seats, like already in senators' assigned seats that they're supposed to be in to conduct business. We saw the chair of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Senator Darius DeLon, A.B. Darius DeLon, come up today, and when everybody were waiting, seated now for the proceeding to start, basically announced that the committee had resolved to postpone the hearing until Monday, due to some factors beyond your control and security issues or security factors as well. He didn't elaborate any further. What's your reaction to that?
I would say from your description, I'll say, what is her problem?
It's not what's my problem. It was
no. I said, what is her problem?
Oh, okay.
No, I mean not your problem. I say, what is her problem? Bringing dancers and I heard a diplomat, former diplomat, all of that. So what was she trying to prove?
Yeah.
I think you go for confirmation, you go for an intellectual political debate and with people at your level who will ask you tough questions, not to listen to drums and people dancing around you, So she has a problem.
Yeah. So, and I guess that's a conversation today where people saying,
Well, I think she has a problem. I think she's, she probably missed her entry.
Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Dukley thinks she has a problem because it doesn't jive to come to a confirmation hearing
with drums behind you. No, it doesn't. Yeah. That means you have a weakness. You're trying to elevate yourself to a point where people could say, "Oh, yeah, she has a following." We don't need you following.
Do we know
if you?
Jimmy, let him finish. I will come to you. Let Dr. Dukley.
Jimmy, go ahead.
Do we know if she orchestrated or facilitated the huge crowds and outpouring of the crowds? Is she instrumental in all of that? Or they are just simply people who are interested in hearing what she had to say?
Everybody else came. There were no drummers. She came, there were drummers. So 1 + 1 is not 3, it's 2.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, so you're making an assumption that she facilitated in some way
who collect all the diplomats,
the fanfare.
The diplomats and everybody to go to her confirmation hearing.
It was rather odd, especially the popularity of this confirmation. And it raises a lot of questions. Like, I agree with what Dr. Saduk is saying.
Yeah, Jimmy, I'll actually come to you just to make sure I kind of stay on track. So thanks, Dr. Duke. Dr. Duke just made his point clearly. So let me come to you, Jimmy, since you're already on. From what you saw today, what happened?
You took 37 seconds from me, Jimmy.
I will remember, Dr. Duke. I will remember.
Give me 7 seconds back.
37.
So Jimmy, from what you saw today or from what you just heard.
So there was a lot of fanfare today. Yeah. And I agree with Dr. Dugan. I see you like, why is there so much fanfare over the confirmation of the foreign minister? And because this, for me, this is the opportune time now to evaluate whether she's rather fit for, because they have brought too much attention to her. Is she ready to represent Liberia? But Liberia is in a place where we are economically not very stable or very, very strong. The foreign minister has to be one of those who carries out the mission to bring investment and lift Liberia out of the economic quagmire we find ourselves in. And it's not just the Minister of Finance or the Bank of Liberia. No, everybody on that team.
So Jimmy, let me
realize the central problem of Liberia and do everything they can. So let
me add a little twist to the question here before I go to Victor here. So quickly, do you think the recent rah-rah in social media, on some radio stations about her credentials, because there's been this ongoing debate in the Liberian sphere on Facebook, on social media, on radio stations, talk shows about her credentials, where she's been accused by Martin Cully, and then other people have picked it up. Do you think it had any connection with that at all?
I'm sure it did. There's a lot of the questions that are coming up now. Her credentials and what if they are impeccable credentials that she does have. Not only that, but she served in the UN, so she does bring that experience to the ministry. What I want to see though, what is her position statement? I think we need to ask her some very critical questions. She was also a presidential aspirant as well, So she has supporters out there who were supporting her for that presidential run. So it's understandable why they would be there pouring out in support of her.
Jimmy, I guess one more thing I'm moving. I guess Dr. Two question is, this place is supposed to be a place of work. Like the Senate got serious work to actually do. And clearly, even though they didn't say it to today, but you know how easy it is to be for sections to be disrupted. When you have this mob of a crowd, people chanting, dancing, singing, drumming, like the drama of it. Do you think maybe there should be a little more of rules around these confirmation hearings so that
Definitely. And I think she's trying to strong arm the Senate. That's why the supporters are there and coming in. They're trying to strong arm the Senate into confirming her. So I think that's what we're seeing here. And as far as I'm concerned, let the facts speak for themselves. Nobody should strong arm anybody. If you are qualified and capable, then we will put you there. If you're not, then we'll look for someone else.
Thank you. Mr. Nangbe, same thing to you.
Yeah, Leo, you know, for full disclosure, Sarah and I, we went to Cardinal together, and I believe we were there at the same time. So, so we circulate in several similar circles. So, if I haven't talked to Sarah since she was nominated, if I were to do so, I'm not sure if I would have advised the kind of entry today that was made. I think that kind of entry only exacerbates, the rumor mill right now. I believe it was also a distraction from the main issue on the table, which is her credentials. Yes, she is a political leader. She ran for president, so obviously she has a lot of supporters. All Liberation League, I believe that was the party that. So she has supporters. She's a political person, but I really don't think today's program was the kind of program that you will use crowd politics, to I guess sway the senators. I am not sure if that was the right tactic to pull, and so I think it only raises the specter of the suspicion. I don't think it helped the situation. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Okay. And so now the process has been pushed back. I think the whole thing may be in limbo. I don't know, but I still really very much believe that Sarah has garnered quite an impressive pedigree of performance. Behind her, by way of experience, various postings, both locally, I think from the ACE program, the Ministry of Health, all the way through the United Nations. So, I would have really, I would have used those as my argument, as opposed to, if she had a hand in what happened today. I hope when she's going back again, she will rethink, because all that did today was to take away from all of the critical documents that she circulated to support her position. I think the only thing everyone else is talking about is the entry that she made today, which I think is kind of stepping on what she wanted to do, and which was, to prove that she has acquired the requisite credentials to be what she wants to be.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Nangwe. I'll go straight up to you, Honorable Grizier. Can you give us your take on what happened at the Capitol building, and maybe any word on what should happen, because she's coming back on Monday, so we don't know what that scene will actually look like.
Well, I think that was unfortunate. That's why I was trying to inquire. I'm not familiar with the situation today, and I was asking if it was a form of protest against her or in support.
No, I think it was largely in support. There were people who showed up in solidarity of her appointment.
And that was a mistake. That was a mistake because you got to understand the role you're serving, and you're the foreign minister. The foreign minister is not somebody who is mostly involved in these rallies and internal political. You should be what, cerebral. So that's the word we use in diplomacy when we talk about. You have to carry yourself with that deportment, comportment as well. You have to be measured. You have to be seen as you're level-headed and measured. So there's a word we call cerebral. Cerebral is strength, but with calm and discipline, self-discipline. And so you don't want to be taken out of context, because these things will make with that our partners start looking at you like, oh, this person is lousy, this person is this. Okay, so they start measuring it, and that's the first impression, because you just come to the post. So that's the first signal, the first impression. There's no second chance for that. You're sending out there. Now, confirmation as well. I went through the process, I think two times. You submit your credentials, your resume, and what have you. You make copies of it, all 30 senators, the ones on the committee plus the other one. It depends on the committee chair what it dictate to you, or what it tell you, what it instruct you. Sorry, not dictate. What it instruct you to do. The committee, you will have to submit a resume to every one of them, and the chair could tell you, hey, we want more of this to all 30 senators, because once we bring it to the floor, we want to already have an idea of who you are, and they have already done the background, going through your credentials. So
Okay.
that's you do that, and then when you come in, they have a place in the back where the public can come and witness the confirmation hearing.
Okay.
But it's controlled. Because when we went through, it was discipline, it was well laid out structure, and there was a control system. So you in the public citizens or what have you have the right to go there, but you don't cross it. You didn't have the right to cross setting banners. Like, tell me what I'm here or sitting in the senator's seats and what have you. Well, no. Then everybody will be asked, I'll know. So you will be in the background, and you just, because you want to be sure what the Senate is doing. This person has gone to this post. Who are they? Are they really capable? Are they really competent? You want to watch the whole thing. Some people go and record it. Sometimes they won't have, but sometimes the senators will allow it happen.
So anybody, finish. Yeah, and anybody can jump in on this one. So I know we see the side of Sarah, the appointee, Madam Sarah. But what does that say, though, about how these things are organized at the Senate, at the legislature, when you're having, because this is your work. This is like a work day at the office. What does it say that there was no mechanism in place today, that even if the crowd was going to be there, to have them much organized in a much better way, maybe in a holding room somewhere or whatever, other than having the Senate chambers like just mobbed by crowd today? What does that say, though, about how the place is set up?
So what happened is that?
You want to go to take it, Greece?
Jimmy, go. I'll come back to you.
So what happened is that?
Oh, go ahead, Rich. Go ahead.
On the day of the confirmation, they tell you what time to arrive. You arrive at the Capitol. You are escorted into the Secretary of the Senate's office. That's where you're seated. That's where your holding room is, and you're going through the last finished touches with the secretary, because he's presenting you to the body, and then you're going through all of that. The crowd, or whoever your family, loved ones, or sympathizers are, or even the public, are ushered into the confirmation room. But like I said, restricted in the back, sitting there just watching. No noise, no disruption, no clapping, no cheering, nothing. You're just watching and just listening and monitoring. And then the secretary of the Senate will inform the chairman. Some of the chairman will even come there and meet you to be sure that everything is well in the secretary's office. And then from there, you're ushered into the room when all the committee members are seated. And then you announce and you're ushered in there, and the process takes place. But the process is very, very disciplined, very controlled, because what I observed, what I experienced. But with this one, I don't know how the Senate might have blunder as well, because how they allow the people just infiltrate.
That's I was about to say, my question is not about the actual process when it gets going. My question is, on a day that you have a very high profile hearing like this, and what does it say that the protocol didn't seem to have had any idea what to do with the crowd that showed up today at that place. Dr. Duque, Jimmy, any one of you?
Yeah, I want to chime in. It is clear that the Senate and the chambers of the legislature was caught unaware. They had no expectation of what was about to happen. And we can clearly see that they did not have a protocol in place or an effective protocol in place that would have curtailed that sort of thing. We're talking about people were sitting in other people's seats. Since when can a person come off the street, be he news media or anyone, and sit in another senator's seat? So definitely, if there was protocol at all, it failed. It failed today. It may have been under overwhelming circumstances, but every time these things happen, we're supposed to take a lesson from it and prepare ourselves better. So, and we employ an effective protocol that will manage that sort of thing should it ever happen again. Okay. So yes, there's a failure. It's obvious there was a failure, Leo, without a doubt.
Yeah, Dr. Duque, and then I'll come to Victor.
Yeah, I was going to, go back to what the point that Victor made, that the question whether she was behind it. It was just something spontaneous. But even that, you tell people, okay, you guys have to wait outside, and I'm going to do this. When I come out, I'll talk to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what a minister would do. You say, okay, guys, thank you for your support, but this is work. So wait for me here. When I come back, when I finish my work, I come and talk to you. So even if she did engineering, but that they walk behind her into the room, I think protocol. I mean, this is like January 6th, right? You're not expecting this. Yeah. You don't expect, at the hearing that you Senate is hearing, Minister of Finance, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Dean of the Cabinet. You don't expect townies to come and then invade your space. You are working.
Thank you.
So you don't expect this. So you don't put 10, 15 guards at the door and say, oh, don't let anybody come in. It's not like somebody's going to invade the house or the Senate floor.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Victor. Anything to chime in there?
No, I mean, I cannot disagree with what my colleagues are saying, especially Mr. Greaves. As a diplomat, there's a certain degree of discipline, beyond doubt that I think is expected of you. And to Dr. Duke's point, if she was aware, it was really a colossal mistake. Overzealous supporters, I don't know, but some of the people who were in the chambers, I mean, Ambassador Yinembo, I think he is the EU, the Liberian ambassador to the EU also. These are people who should know better, and to have
you're right. There were Honorable Lucien Kamara, there were Ambassador Yinembo, there were, I mean, like you could have some top names in terms of our leadership, corridor.
Exactly. So these are people who really, should have known better. And I think they unintentionally sabotaged, the nominee today, because right now we are not even talking about her. They're the ones we're talking about, and they made themselves part of the news. So I really think it was a mistake, and like we're all saying here, we really hope this was a teachable moment for Ms. Beslow, and hopefully when she comes back on Monday, she will dispense with all of this drama, and just get to the meat of it, and get on with it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Now let's go to one more controversial issue here. What's the real cash balance in our consolidated account? So today, as you all heard, we heard President Boakai's State of the Nation address, and he named an amount. And then we got another amount, apparently that's different from the central bank, that's different from what the president named. So who's briefing the president here? And, how did the president get one number different? And the central bank has a different number. However, to the hearing today, I may be wrong for those of you who watch it, but the time I watch it, the central bank governor was not able to categorically state at the hearing today how much money was in or is in the consolidated account. Now, that being said, we heard something from what's his name today. I think Representative Dixon Siebel, who is who made a motion today, District Number 16 representative, that according to the testimony from the central bank, there should be US $40.4 million in the consolidated account. Now, they're taking both the Liberian dollar and the US dollar, and they're converting the Liberian dollar rate based on 1 to 188 Liberian dollars. So, however, even with that, the numbers are still different. President Bouaga number is different, central bank number is different. So where are we on this? And what are your reactions? I will start with you, Victor.
Leo, to be honest with you, I am just as confused as pretty much everyone is. I've heard, like I said, I'm a science guy.
But Victor, I will not let you go easy before you go too far. We thought the transition team that were put into place, me talk about the responsibility of the transition team was to have sought out, these pieces. Not something as important as what's left. I mean, when I take it over, I really want to know the person who going, how much money you really leaving over there. Before 2 weeks later, you say you left 500 million there for me. When the truth be told, that's not why we're left there. So I mean, how come this seemed to have been missed? Again, I may be wrong, but so far, based on what we're hearing, something is not adding up.
So and like you said, the governor of the central bank could not give us that clarification. I was some other network, the finance minister Destiny called in, and I think he just even made it worse. I think he was talking about the government, outgoing government, taking a loan to service salary when they shouldn't have done so. But I think what seems to be coming out of this is this. The UP people are arguing that the balance that President Weah expressed was a balance that included the past fiscal budget's balance as well as up to the 19th, since in fact from January 1 to January 19th is the new fiscal year. And so he should have stopped at December 31st and not include any additional balance up to November.
So Victor, let me hold you right there. According to Front Page Africa, let me read this piece. According to Front Page Africa today, Representative Dixon Siebel, District Number 16, Monserrado County, in his motion stated, according to testimonies from the Central Bank of Liberia, the consolidated account held over Liberian dollars 2.4 billion and more than US dollars 27 million as of January 19. Using the approved prevailing exchange rate of US $1 to Liberian dollars $188.36, this indicates that a total amount in a consolidated account on January 19 was approximately US $40.4 million, thus corroborating with ex-President George Weah's figure. So let's come from the time George Weah said it. Let's forget that. Yes, as of January 19, that means the new government was.
And that's the point I'm agreeing with Leo. The UP argument is that the president should have stopped at December 31st. But notwithstanding, I think what he's saying is still money available to the incoming government, whether this money included up to December 31st and into January 19th. The argument there really, for me, is very difficult to follow. Because even if you put the two pieces of information together, you still arrive at a certain amount of money in. Are they going to say that the money after January 19th, up to January 19th, from January 1st to January 19th, they should take it out and do what with it? I mean, it still belongs in the consolidated account, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So in that way, I'm leaning more towards the former president's figure. Because I think it looks like the UP government may have neglected the Liberian dollar component, and so when that was brought to the fore, it seemed to have added up to what President Weah was accounting.
All right, so that's the narrative from Victor from his observation. That's what he's saying that may have happened. Jimmy, what happened with the whole transition process? Did we miss something? Because I would have thought they should both have same number if they had a joint transition team that were working together. And one of the key things the stated was to ascertain government's assets and, to know what was being left in place. Let's be honest. If they put you on a transition team, if I play, you won't go down the money. You won't know, okay, you please tell me how much money you're on the record. So I have it listed. And they had a joint team. So it's not like President Bwaka's team was working separately from President Weah's team. So how come, what happened here? We seem to be missing something.
Yeah, excellent question. There appears to be a trend. Whenever there's a changing of the guard, whenever we're changing from one administration to the other, we always find some befuddling things going on with the money. During the past administration transition, all of a sudden we heard that X amount of banknotes were printed and 15 million was made reportedly by the Minister of Information, and the Minister of Finance contradicts that. And why is there so much confusion over anything else besides money? And it is apparent that we need to revisit the transition period, because it appears this is what there's a gap, there's a lapse somewhere that allows this kind of confusing information to get to the public. Why is there 40 million there? Why was it in? I think it even mentioned in the State of the Nation address that there was a shortage. There was a conflicting amount.
Yep.
And you bring this to the national, to the news, the national attention of the people, that there's some conflicting amount.
Yeah.
We need a better process.
Yeah, no, thank you.
The process itself is faulty.
Yeah.
We need to revisit the process and come up with a procedure and a way of recording and a way of stratifying it, so that there is no way that in transition we have this confusion going on each and every time.
And more to Jimmy's point, I think this is just being politicized. I'm sorry, Doc, I know you want to come in, but look, we are talking a budget of what, $760-something million, right?
Yeah, man, I tell more Dr. Ducle time here because
yeah, I know.
I'm talking. I'm just talking about.
Can I
40 million, right? In a budget of 760 something.
So Doctor, let me come back to you. But Dr. Ducle, we had the same problem when President Weah was taking over from Ellen, and there's confusion ensued as to how much money was really left in. Even if it is true that the President Bwaka team negated the Liberian dollars account, should they? That's no small portion of the money. So
no,
what happened?
Yeah, but my problem is, probably where Jimmy put it. The system. We don't have a system. You're talking about a central bank. The central bank is supposed to be able to tell you on the minute how much money is there every single day. And then plus the fact that Unity, I think it was also a mistake for Unity Party to put in a national speech. Because if you knew there was a disagreement between your numbers and the outgoing government numbers, you work it outside. You try to make a reconciliation. That's why you have a transition team. But it doesn't belong in a national address. I think that was a mistake to put it. I mean, if I was part of it, I would say, no, you don't put that in. Because it's not like I'm going to the stage and say, I caught you. That's not it. This is transition. We're moving to a new era. So I think there's a systematic, there's a problem with the system that we don't have it say, okay, central bank is supposed to give you to the minute every single day how much is in the bank, where it is, who got what. You don't have to ask them. That's their job. If they can't do that and then they give you false numbers, then they're not supposed to be there. Yeah, but so then putting in the speech was also that was worse than that mistake.
Okay. So Dr. Ducle, let me follow up with you here while I say guy you. So think about it this way. There are a few scenarios here. President Bwaka was already inaugurated before this State of the Nation speech. So my question is, would there have been due diligence or prudent enough for his team to have reached out again, now that you were president, and you can order that information as president of the Republic of Liberia? Or did the information provided by the transition team with all confidence, or whoever with all confidence that it was the right information, did someone drop the ball because he was already president? So this was something that could have easily cross-checked with the central bank, confirmed with the central bank what is in the account.
Yeah, he could have. Yeah, I think that, I think his people who wrote that speech probably dropped the ball, because that didn't belong there.
If you were writing it in the speech, you would have at least counter-checked.
Yeah, you say, okay, let's check it again. Let's check again. Let's make sure. Let's talk to the bank. What is it? What's it? What are the numbers? But you don't go put in a national, in a State of Nation speech, because this is a record for the, it's a record for the ages.
Yeah.
200 years from now, somebody will read it and say, oh, wow, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Like we now read about, all of those guys. Anyway, that's my point.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Tukle. Honorable Greaves, let me come to you. You already heard the questions and the premise. Take it from where you want. Like, what happened here? First of all, who's to actually blame for this mess that have happened? Like, where do we lay the blame? Because clearly right now, the Liberian people cannot clearly know how much is in their consolidated account. We are trying to fight over, what is it? Is it 40 million? Is it 27 million? Is it, like, what is it? We don't know.
I think it was disappointing, like Dr. just said. There was a missed opportunity on the part of the president and his team just coming to office. Because when you just come into office, especially all the accusations and counter accusations and the political wrangling with her, the outgoing administration was corrupt. They were this, we couldn't trust them. People had anxieties and all of you. And you're coming in as, like I always use the phrase, the two words, affirmative, alternative. You are affirming the change is going to be positive. It's going to have positive impact on the people, especially when it comes to leadership. What you had in the past, we have studied it and we got a better idea. So that's why it is. So you want to instill that hope, the trust and confidence in you by the public, not just your team, but the whole country, the grassroots, the common people. So you have to be very measured, very careful how you speak to the public. Now, like I said on Monday, it's customary, it's traditional. The president gave an annual message as summoned by the legislature, the Speaker of the House, advising. But on your first taking over of office, the first year, you are exempt. They give you that window because you are not served for a year for annual. So there's nothing you got to report on. You just be in office, you inaugurated for 1 week.
Yeah, and
so you don't. That's
to your point. But even to your point, everybody knows how complicated it is sometimes to just consolidate information when you're just coming information that you did not work on too. Especially
information that have been there for a long period of time before you even get sent it. People might think they know it, but you don't know the intricacies. You don't know the context. So you play light on that. You don't get involved into the nitty-gritty of that because, like we see, it exposes you. It diminishes the trust in you because now we have counter saying who should be right now. Just the uncertain. We're discussing. The president said this, and the other person, and people debunking it, and contrary and anti. So that's what you want to avoid. Avoid. What the president should have done with the team around him was to give an address to the nation, give a legislative agenda, simple, no annual message. Give your roadmap plan. What you came here to do? What are your plans? What are your objectives? What are your agenda? Let's know it. Lay out in phase because you provided us the urgency. We have the rescue mission and what have you. Then you go to address the nation, looking at what we just came from. We're a divided nation right now. We had a very I will not say heated, but a very challenged campaign process. And people are still divided. People die and what have you. So now you're coming in, use that platform. Use that platform to use that platform to unify the country. Bring back hope, restore hope. I'm the man in charge now. I'm not unity party. I'm not with any creed. I'm not with any tribe. I'm not with any relation. I'm the president for the Republic of Liberia. I want to unify this country and I want to help our country move forward. Everything is on me. So you're not accusing anymore because the campaign is over. You in charge now. So that's what the message, that message of unification, that message of upliftment, that motivating the people, restoring the hope. You don't have to make any promises and you get excuse. Now, on the budget, yes, you came in, you have to at least talk something about what you met, but you can inform the legislature. Look, we came in, my predecessor announced XYZ. We have not confirmed that yet, but we're still looking into it. My team has not taken, you got no minister confirmed. You got nobody in office. They said you. So how in 1 week, how they expect you to know all of the account and what to balance all that? People can come and check in numbers for you. They'll be not saving lives. Who knows? You're not going to carry yourself there and diminish your integrity. No. So, and other thing about transition, we do not have a problem with transitioning. Transition is not supposed to be a prosecutor. When you transition, when one government is turning over to the next government, you coming in, you own it, like Dr. Douglas said last time. It's a dialogue. You take stock. You're not prosecuting people. You're not going to ask, and you're not policemen to go arrest people for what. No, you just take account of what they left. Then later on, as you sit and take charge and start going through documentations and what have you, and start finding wrongdoings and what have you, then you report it. But this is recorded. Everybody.
So then how did they miss such a key institution like the central bank with the confusion over the numbers?
He should have just grieves the scene. What Greaves is saying, I agree. What Greaves is saying, he should have made sure the speech did not take a political tone.
Yeah, but that's not a question, Jimmy. That's not a question. My question is, like he just rightly said, Dr. Du said it last time I listened to the show as well. You're right that the transition process is you're supposed to come in, take stock of everything that there, properly catalog it and record it. So my question is, if that is the job that was supposed to be done, then how come we missed the central bank?
Because somebody thought to do, somebody was being intentional. And that's the problem. That's where we come from. So if you have good advisors, like we said, we used to criticize the WIA and his team and his people he hired around him. The same thing we got to do with our current president. We got to understand the people around him, who are they, how measured they are, what they're thinking. You know, we criticize WIA ad nauseum.
In recent times, it looks like our successor presidents are in a hurry. In so much hurry to discredit their predecessor, right? We saw President Weah and President Johnson Sirleaf, back and forth, and now President Weah and
that was wrong.
Walker back and forth. But I say this: traditionally, by December, the outgoing president begins to withdraw from the stage. You don't want to do anything that will overshadow the incoming president. I think President Sirleaf did not talk about how much money she left with President Weah until President Weah declared, just as President Walker did, in his annual message, that it meant a country that was broke. So then she had to come and clarify that, no, we left except. So I think President Weah should have left that whole declaration out on the eve of the inauguration. I think I really believe he had no business going to his church or wherever he made his statement to throw that challenge out there. So I think President Walker felt compelled to respond. But to Dr. Douglas' point, I think President Walker should have given himself time, and he should have waited for at least a full audit to give him a clearer picture of what he was inheriting. So I think he was in a hurry to react to President Weah, and in the process, I think they missed some of the calculations. So you can clearly it looks like they neglected the Liberian dialogue component of.
So let me try another curveball, and this one can be popcorn style. Anyone can jump into it if you want to. So my next question is going to be: should we be rethinking the way the transition is done? Because here's what I don't understand. President Weah announced, for example, right, that as of the inauguration, and all appointees were stepping down automatically, and then the most senior civil servant in those ministries or agencies were taking over. He announced that in his presidential order. Now the question is, should we change how we look at a transition? It doesn't end when the president is inaugurated. In my opinion, the transition is supposed to go on for another 6 months. Because right now, as we speak, ministers are being appointed, Some of them might take long. Some people may not get confirmed. The president might have to go back and reappoint. Some of them might go through a long process. And even when they come in the ministry, some of them have never worked in the government before. So they might still be novices. They will need time to kind of settle. So should we start to not just look at the transition only when the old government leaving, but even like that buffer period when the new government comes, so that transitional team that started with the old government can continue their work of after they've taken stock to see whether everything matches, so that by the time the new ministers are confirmed and whatever coming in, they have some kind of report that makes a little bit of sense from this transition team that can help brief them as to what we found so far and where we are compared to inauguration day. Transition just end.
You know, I don't disagree with you, Leo. But to be honest, we all know the ministers are the political appointees, right?
Exactly.
The real technocrats, are the director level, personnel. Those people usually remain the transition with the incoming government, and therefore they're the ones who are there to guide the incoming team and show them the lay of the land, so to speak. So I think if the president said his appointees, I'm hoping he met, minister, deputies, and assistant minister.
You may have missed my question. Let me answer. What I'm saying to you is this: right. That transition team that was given the task to actually do this work, the time was short. Mm-hmm. For me, that almost a 1.5 week, right. With over 103 government agencies. So what I'm saying is, I don't think that team would have even been able to finish taking full stock of what they were doing, which is why we are seeing some of the lapses that are popping up in the ways they are now. I may be wrong, but do you think that transition period should be extended a little bit so that, because when a new government gets in, guess what? Then they have full access now. Mm-hmm. Sometimes doing the old government, they don't have full access. So they only get limited information if the old government is not cooperating at times.
I don't think it's a transition. Allow me to comment. It's not so much the transition team responsibility. It's the whole function of the ministries and the way they gear up to transfer from administration to administration. Just like my brother Nambe said, we have the technocrats, the people the civil servants who are not political appointees, so the information, the knowledge should remain intact regardless of who the new political appointee is. That core knowledge and the function of that ministry should be intact each and every changeover of administration. It should not be changed according to the political whims of the next administration. So that process should be nailed down for all ministries, so this sort of thing wouldn't occur. Okay. But I just want to mention one thing before I give it to y'all. The President-elect, President Buckeye, made one comment the other day, and he says we have to be thinking out of the box. This is an idiomatic expression that encourages people to think creatively, innovatively, and unconventionally. You need to come up with completely different ideas if this is going to work. So I believe it is if he's going to maintain that sort of idea, then he's going to have to be what Dr. Duke was saying, or one of the guests here. He has to maintain the kind of people who are going to have around him who are actually not going to be swayed with one bias, but they're going to be thinking out of the box.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Duke. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jimmy took my word. No, but I think that whole issue, the transition team. I think what we need to do really is the day the final results are announced, you start the transition process
right away
to the day of inauguration, and that has to be formulated into a law. It cannot be ad hoc, like we could have said, oh yeah, I'm contesting the result of the election. So the transition would have been up to December 29, and then we had 2 days to prepare the inauguration. So he didn't do that. So I think there need to be a law, for learning from what happened in 2017 and what happened now. People sit together and then think about it and say, okay, how can we formulate a law transition that on the day the final results are announced, the transition kicks in and it goes this way, and this is what happened, and this is what happened to ministries. There's nothing wrong with, okay, a new government comes in, the political appointees want their job. They've been, fighting for it for years and campaigning, etc. Now they're nominated, appointed, they want a job. They go, oh yeah, I want to go take it over. But I think this whole process has to be smoothly done. That, you come, you say, okay, here's your chair, your desk, here's the coffee machine, you hug and then you go home and that's it. That's how it's supposed to be. But it has to be based on a legal framework, not just ad hoc, presidential orders.
And if I may add quickly to Dr. Duke, and I think the outgoing president too, has to adapt the posture that I'm going to do the right thing. I think it's not enough to set up a committee and just completely disengage, because we know as it is in Liberia, if the head is not involved, it doesn't get done right. So I really think the outgoing president too has a responsibility to make sure that the transition team gets everything that it needs in terms of support, information, logistics, whatever it is. Because we heard lots of reports of almost antagonism from the outgoing team towards the incoming team. And that kind of relationship also, it makes it very difficult to plug into the existing system. So it's like the incoming guys are almost starting anew. And that doesn't bode well for continuity, which we know government is supposed to be.
And that's why we need a legal framework.
Yeah,
because then nobody will have to guess it if there's a legal.
Yeah, so there's no guessing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like somebody was saying last week, they say, yeah, I had my report, but I didn't want to give it to the other team, so I gave it to my president.
Yeah.
And the president didn't turn over to the other team, so they never saw it.
Yeah. Because then if you refuse to, then you are breaking the law, and you can.
And I listened to one of my brothers who I respect a lot on another network talking about he was not going to respond to anybody who was not the proper authority, meaning the head. And I was listening to it, I was really surprised. You have the transition team, which has been constituted by the outgoing and the incoming president. I believe they have all the authority to ask all the questions. And I was disappointed by that because he was refusing, more or less, to cooperate with the incoming team, insisting that, he wanted his replacement, who would be the head coming in from the incoming team before, he will cooperate with the transition team. I thought that was pretty disappointing.
Okay, and quickly, let's move quickly to the next thing here, our next topic here. We've seen.
I'm letting on this one, right?
No, agrees. You want to go? Sorry, I thought you went ahead. Go ahead. Chime in before we go ahead. No, I thought you had.
It took Dr. Douglas time, so I didn't.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna agree. Chime in quickly. Let you chime in quickly. Go ahead.
Is this thing we always say? Government is continuity, and all of those ministries and agencies you see, there's consistency. There's no breach. There's no gap time. Like Jimmy said, and our other brother Nagbe said, every government ministry has civil servant at the highest level of director. They are the ones, they are the technocrat, they run the ministry. The political appointees, they are just there. They have like visitors. They come in and they can go like tomorrow. The president, you at the pleasure of the president. The president can appoint you today, the president can miss you tomorrow. But to keep that continuity, that consistency, is at the level of the director. Director level is the highest in civil service. So the public service, civil service. Now, at 12 noon, the Constitution tells you every political appointee, every political officer relinquish your post, except the incoming administration retain you. And who you turn it over to? The director, the highest civil servant, because they are the ones who run the institution. So with that, we have no problem with the transition as it is. We want law. I mean, I agree with what we're saying, what we're suggesting about having a law, enacting a law, but it's just the individuals, the character who's supposed to be well understood, be cerebral, be a teamwork to have. The transition is nothing less than taking stock. Transition between the November and inauguration day is just because it's not, if you try to conduct an audit, it's not sufficient time. Audit takes years. So you're just taking stock, take account of what you meet. The person say, okay, I left here, take it over. But what you do is that signatures are fixed so that it's transparent enough that everybody know where you started from. Now, going down the line, if you start seeing other things where you're taking charge, then you can bring it up, march it with what everybody, because there's not a transparent document. It's not just you and me talking. No, everybody know where you turn over to me and where I met and where we're going now. So that's it. So the leader, the problem, even the outgoing president, I made comment. The incoming president, let it go. Just make sure you're doing the right thing. Because if you do the right thing, it helps you, it helps the country, it helps the credibility. If you follow that person, is that you want reborn, you want to debunk, we pass that stage. You know, you should be somebody of proactive development skills, bringing strategies to accomplish objectives. That's the flow you should find yourself in. Mutual, agreeable, situations and what have you. So people talking about law, we gotta act the law and what have you. The executive order the president, the outgoing president signs is as strong as the law. He doesn't have to be there, but once he signed that executive order and it's accepted, it's sealed. If anybody violates anything, infringe upon it, the penalties under the law.
Okay, thank
you.
So
the president, we have to, okay, I constituted my team, and this executive order, I'm signing it, and I instruct you all to do X, Y, Z. If it is proven that anybody violated anything in that thing or breach, you're on a serious scrutiny, serious punishment under the law.
So today, the last few days, we've seen a bunch of names coming up from President Boakai. The appointments are going fast and furious. Those who keeping their fingers crossed to get job, their hopes are fading gradually and their tears are beginning to drop because it looks like the appointments are going fast and furious. And we're beginning to see the candidates emerge, the different types of leaders emerging. Some have been confirmed like we saw today. Some are waiting for confirmation. So the question is, based on President Boakai's legislative agenda that he outlined a few days ago before the legislature, vis-a-vis the appointees that we are seeing surfacing, some who are very new names that we know before, they've been around the Liberian government corridors. Some we don't know very well, for example, like Dr. Jasso Male Jala. I don't know her. I've just been reading about her since she got appointed. But can you say that based on what you're seeing, is there any alignment between the types of people surfacing in appointments versus the type of agenda that President Boakai outlined in his State of the Nation address? Are you able to correlate some of it? Or is what we're seeing on the appointment side not matching what we're hearing, the progressive and moving side on the president's agenda side? Dr. Ducle, Victor, I will start with you first on this one.
It's my name and you okay.
I'll cut you out.
Okay, take over.
So, Leo, I have said over and over on this network, I think the slow pace at which, this government is being rolled out. But, I think he's getting there. First of all, I had really hoped that, for instance, the foreign minister would have been in the first batch because that's the doing of the cabinet, right? I know the president's agenda. I think he talks about setting up a tourism commission or something like that. Yes, he appointed a minister of information, and up to now, until I think culture is still under the minister of information. Yeah. So in that way, I would say yes. He seems to have an eye on his agenda as much as the appointments. But it is still baffling how much. I know we'll probably come to that, but even the rollout itself is having problems. Some names are announced or leaked out, and then they're removed. So it's like a reshuffle even before the government is announced. So it's a little bit concerning, but I would say to some extent, I think he has his eye on the agenda as he's making appointments.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Ducle. Go ahead, please. Chime in.
Yeah, I think he's on course. I think the appointments kind of reflect what he has on his agenda, arrest agenda. Taking from Victor, the Minister of Information, Mika being, kind of deflated somehow to give space to tourism and culture as an institution. And also some of the names that I mean, Pierre would be a great minister, of course. We worked together for many years. We have also Dobo Jala at LRA. that I know, admire very well, and I think that, you know, that's my high on my list of appointees, and then the rest I don't really know.
Yeah, no, fair.
I wasn't too sure about Obama. Kamara is good. You know, he was there, but you know, I wish somebody else had come in with new ideas and new, you know, from new frontiers and all of that.
Yeah,
but he's back there. Let's see if he can improve on what he left behind.
Thank you.
And that's another point of concern to Dr. Douglas' point. It's just the number of people from the previous.
That's the question I was
yes,
about to
you know.
Yeah, but it's the Unity Party. What do you expect, Victor? The Unity Party. They're not new party. They're not.
But the point now is, Dr. Duke, yes, the Unity Party, but now there are a number of the young stalwarts now who are complaining because they've been left out. You know, yes, it's Unity Party, but it's not Ellen Johnson's Unity Party anymore.
How can you say so, Victor? When we got Amos Square at LPRC, we got Kula Fofana as a presidential president.
Well, I heard Eugene Fagon is about to file protest or whatever.
Okay.
No, that was a joke. That was a joke.
But wait, Eugene Fagon among the young cadres? We're talking about the young cadres. I don't think they qualify. But
the government is full, you know, the government is full of young people. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but Honorable Greaves, go ahead, and Jimmy Ismail, I will come to you.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see a drive for a change and improvements. We want to see deliverables, and like I said previously, and I will reiterate. I thought also that the address and the plans layout, as we refer to it as the legislative agenda, was ambiguous. It was incoherent. It did not provide any formulated plan and for implementation. It didn't tell us. It gave us like shiny objects. It didn't tell us how the plans were going to be effective or how it was going to be put into effect. So with that, you want to have at this time coming in a roadmap plan. You want to have a phased plan of implementation, and Jimmy will understand that in project management. He's astute at that. So you don't want to just send objects. I will do this. I will do this. You identify all the problems. Yes. Tell us how you're going to fix those problems. Tell us what your ideas, what your plans are. You have come in. You're coming with change. Tell us what are the concepts. Tell us what are your framework, your policy plan. Break it down for us to understand. If things that cost you some of the money, and we're complaining that the government is broke, and you're introducing more bureaucrats and bureaucratic institutions and more outlandish means of spending more money, where that money is coming from. So we want to. So the plan, the address didn't adequately address the situation that the rescue mission had come in with. So it makes that difficult, even more difficult, because it's a big detachment, a distinction between the rescue mission and the dire needs of the country, because we are at stunt issues now, and comparing to the legislative agenda, we didn't hear anything of such in the agenda.
Okay, Dr. Do quick.
Yes, please.
30 seconds. I'll take my 30 seconds from Jimmy. But you know, I think William, what you say makes sense. I think that would be a different speech. I think the nation of, you know, that address is aspirational. It's like you lay out your vision, you don't give details. That's what it is. It's like you don't go, especially after taking, you know, he hasn't sitting in power yet. He has not taken over yet. So all the technical details and all of that will come as, you know, the government takes shape. Okay. But not in a speech where he's just laying his vision for the country, his agenda in gross terms, and that's it. But you don't have to give the detail how I'm going to pay for it, who's going to do it. That comes down the line.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, honestly, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, just respond. So you made a good point. I agree with that. But at this juncture, you're not telling us that you have achieved anything. You're telling us how you're going to put up plans to implement the achievements, to achieve objectives. That's what you're telling us. So and there's no other time to do it but now, because on the campaign stage, when we campaigning, is when we highlight all these things. Oh, the government's corrupt. Oh, we need better schools. We need better healthcare. We need all those things. That's on the campaign stage. Now, when you are transitioned into office, when you have become the president, then you must have had done your research. Okay, these were the things the problems that we solved, that we identified during the campaign. Now these are the things we're going to implement to curtail these situations. That's why you call the address, the nation address, your roadmap plan. We know you don't have the money, you haven't been there, but you must have had vision. No, and the vision is dry when it's not translated, when it's not translatable to the audience, to the people.
I'll give the
so you have to translate your vision.
3 months to come up with a vision after they have taken.
No. Before you take office, you must have
a vision.
A vision plan.
No, okay.
Then moving forward, when you got hurdles.
All right, gentlemen.
Then moving forward, when you got hurdles and you got hitches and you got challenges, then you spell these challenges. Then you come to the legislature. The legislature already have your agenda and they know exactly where you fall short and what have you, and you'll work with them cohesively to harmonize those. But you tell me now, if you look, let me give you a quick example.
Mr. I get it.
I think you.
I don't interrupt you, but I got your points.
For me, as you asked me, I would have loved to have heard the State of the Nation address during the inauguration. I found the State of the Nation address to be very aspirational. Like, I thought an inauguration is where you want to stir up. When you're coming in, you are basically landing on people. I thought the inauguration speech sounded more like a policy. He went into war crimes court. It sounded more like he was hitting the policy point at the inauguration when you should have been inspiring people.
That's the policy building issue. He was laying on his agenda. That's it.
Because inauguration. Because even when I read the rest of the inauguration speech, it was longer. It had some specifics, details in an inauguration speech. And then the speech at the State of the Nation address, I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I'm just saying I thought it would have resonated well to lay the groundwork. And so there's nothing wrong with it. Wherever the president chooses to pull whichever speech he wants, he's the president of the republic. He's the one going to get the work done. So I'll have to salute him on that. I'm not going to debate with the president where he chooses to make which speech he wants to.
No.
But Duke,
the annual address, the State of the Nation address, is not for him.
Okay, but
it's for the people of the country. It's not what he wants to say. It's what we expect him to tell us.
And what if
reporting to us? It's a report.
And what if
submitted to us?
Can we,
Dr. Duke, go ahead.
I just want to take like 1 second and say, Jimmy, I give you my time. I'll give you my time, Jimmy. Go ahead.
Jimmy, Dr. Duke said
yes. Okay. So Leo, they say in football, they say a good football team is only as good as its quarterback. What Liberians are yearning for it's we don't want somebody to say, yeah, we need to have more school or we need to have more rules. They want you to outline a strategy for achieving these things. This is what people have been yearning to have. I've seen the people. They are managers. Managers know how to implement a strategy. That's what they're supposed to know. But you have to provide them the vision and put together a strategy that will achieve those objectives. What we did. You want more education in the country. Then you have to stress how you are going to prioritize education in the country. Show us how will you get to the place. You talk about agriculture. How will you garner this economic and capital requirements, resources, so that we will become self-sufficient? All these things require a systematic plan, and this is what people are looking forward. So it is one thing to say, by the hospitals, we will make sure that all the hospitals are covered. That's not enough. How are you going to we have a lack of doctors right now. I think it's one doctor to every couple of thousands. How will you address the nation needs in healthcare? To articulate to us, let me see the method you're going to do it. So maybe like some gentleman was saying here, maybe in a couple of months, we will see the articulation of these plans. We'll see the strategy that he's going to use to achieve these things. These things are not done in imagination.
Can
Everything
I
we
my
do
30
is,
seconds now?
everything we do has to be categorically strategized so we can achieve it. It's not done by magic. You build a house, you got to build a foundation, then you got to build a window, then you got to build a roof.
Thank you.
I think sometimes, I think sometimes we like, want to see a perfect machinery in governance. Like you win elections, all the promises you made, you line up, you put on the TV screen, you say we're going to do 1, 2, 3 every day, and this is how we're going to do it. In reality, that's not how it functions. That's not what happened in government. You win elections, you go through a chaotic time, setting up a government, all your agenda, everything you had, the only plan you had up to that time was to win the elections. Everything else is blah, blah. I'm telling you this. It's not that it's not serious. It's serious. People believe in that. If you read Liberian platforms, probably you could say the same consultant wrote all of them. It's the same ideas. Road, agriculture, education, sanitation, health, blah, blah. But when you get on the field, that's when it counts. We are promised what? He said, I'll transform the educational system. I'm going to bring 9,000 people from Nigeria. Yeah, he had planned. He said it aloud. He let it out. Did we see it? He had a plan to do a highway, coastal highway from Moravia to Pribo or to Harper. Did we see it? He had a plan to recreate Air Liberia. He laid a plan. Did we see Air Liberia accept the cake?
I mean, they cut the cake plain. So
yeah, we said a cake. Yeah, let's eat the cake. Yeah, let him eat cake. No airplane. So I think we have to be, take government for what it is.
Thank you.
It's a bunch of guys, people, men, women getting together. They want to take power. They got it. Now they have to figure it out. It's going to take some time to do it. Anything else is pipe dream, really.
Thank you, Doc. Let me just say this quickly. We'll try to get to our final topic here because we'll be wrapping up quickly. We're approaching time. But I'll read some of the comments from our viewers right now. Let me read some of the comments and then we will come back. Let me just make sure we bring our viewers in here a little bit. So we got Sam Wollo. Sam Wollo says, wait a minute. With so many repeat nominees, isn't there a past performance record for the Senate to review and consider in determining whether to confirm? All right, that's from Sam. Elvis Morris said those senators were being obstreperous today. I don't know the meaning of that word, but
oh yeah, you use a big word.
Yeah. David Blue said the Senate did its part and the president has his role. She will confirm individual, I think it did not perform well, whether or not to fire them or so. And then Asata Dawson says she's watching us. Sam Wolo again says, you don't bring an army to the confirmation. It came across as an attempt. Was an attempt to what? To intimidate the senators. It would have been a better show of strength if she had gone it alone. So I think he's talking about Sarah Beslonienti today.
I think so.
There. And then we have, let me skip. Willie Collins decided to spam us today, so I will not read any of his messages. We got James Nyekendo. James said it was unfortunate. Was she trying to frighten people with the crowd and country devils? Because of this singular behavior, if I had a saying, I would deny her immediately. James, I mean, you're not a senator until you are, you are a senator. Too bad for you. You don't have a say in this matter. James again say, oh, there was the same comment he kept repeating. Flomo Livingston says, so the Liberian people money, George, I'm not even reading that one. Let me skip. He asked what are the Liberian people money, George, we are run away with to Europe with 20 million. Flomo, sorry, we can't answer your question. We're not in the central bank to know what's in the account. Henry Slivo says, panelists, can you guys touch on the appearing of the CBL governor at the Capitol today? We actually did. We talked about the discrepancy between what was coming from the central bank and versus President Boakai. Vera Freeman Maximo said, oh my Lord, Liberia. And then we have Flomo Livingston says, why the CBL governor didn't answer the question today about how much is left in the account. Maybe you know something we don't know, my brother Flomo. Vera Maximo says, what is the educational requirements for a foreign minister in Liberia? Is to be appointed by the president, Vera. There is no other requirement beyond the fact that if the president feels that you are competent. So all the debate we have is just based on the responsibilities of the job that we can come up with what we think is a qualification. But to be honest, the president can appoint Pape Otanchi from all the way to village if the president so wishes. He gives the president the sole discretion to actually do that. Hennes Libo says, the presidential economic team needs to really address the discrepancy relating to the assertion made by President Boakai in the SONA speech about the consolidated account. Homo Livingston again says the GSC need to audit the CBL. Ja Eddie says, who gave numbers read by Boakai? Someone could be fired in the real world. Are you saying Liberia is not in the real world, my friend? But I will leave that as it is. Let's go down here to Eddie Legend, Elston Legend Wisa says, what he said just makes sense to me, but here is the catch. That will work and will be applicable to a structured society. So I guess Elston is saying, forget it. Like LIB, you're thinking about you on your own there. So I will leave those there for now. Those are some of the comments from our viewers, and I will come back to our panelists here. And the final topic I want us to take the show home on is the question that recently we heard that a bunch of senators have been asked to kind of support President Boakai's team with the selection of appointees to be appointed. And the question a lot of people are asking in the Liberian diaspora, in the Liberian sphere, is that these same senators that are supposed to be participating in confirming these nominees when they are appointed and supposed to have an objective scrutiny process, if some of them are going to be involved or are involved in the appointee selection before they even come to the Senate, do we have a massive conflict of interest brewing on our hands here in any way, shape, or form?
I'll ask the question. You think Joe Biden will send somebody to the Senate without consulting Schumer?
I'm asking you, Dr. Duke. I don't know.
No. I'm in the U.S. You know, we here. I live in Washington. I know the politics. You think Joe Biden would send somebody to the Senate without consulting with Schumer, who is the pro temp at the Senate and is Democrat like him?
I didn't say, well, that's a different thing, Dr. Duke. You said consult.
No, it's not a different thing. What is it? It's a lobby. It's the same lobby. He said, this is my man or my woman. I won't send her to this position. Are you going to support him or her? And he would say, well, let's see her file or his file. And then he runs it through his colleagues. And the colleagues say, okay, let a person come. And then they vote and then they pass. That's party politics.
But Dr. Duke, that's different, though, than the senator.
It's not different. You always want to cut Liberia down. You always want to cut Liberia down to something different. We're not different. It's the same democratic process. You got party politics.
Okay.
The party run the Senate. The party run the presidency. So they consult on allocation of posts and jobs, people who can pass and those who can pass.
Okay, Victor, I see you turning in your.
No, seriously, I would vehemently disagree with Dr. Dukley.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, I would very strongly disagree. Look,
because Victor, just before you go, Dennis, it's consulting versus vetting. I agree with Dr. Duke on the consulting, but I don't disagree. That party politics.
Absolutely.
If the senators are the one actually bringing up the nominees,
thank you very much.
Then that's a different process.
Thank you.
Is that what is happening?
That's what was actually reported.
Yes, that's what reported, that he had relinquished the vetting of the nominees to a committee of senators. I think Dillon was in there. I think Yomli Konga was in there. So to follow your analogy, Dr. Du, is like Chuck Schumer taking Anthony Weiner from New York and taking him to President Biden and telling him to appoint him.
No. You changing it around. I said the president sending his people to Schumer. Not the other way around.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
But that's what it amounts to. If the senators are going to be the one vetting the people and then going back to confirm them, It's just the same thing as they picking up the people and just taking them in the chambers and confirming
Yeah,
them.
but
That's what
any
I'm saying.
political party in the world win election, that what they do. I mean, why would you want to put
Yeah,
our
but
head
that
in
kind
the
of thing
sand?
that the Duke is done behind
That's
the
democracy.
scenes.
That's the
Yeah.
democracy of political parties.
Now we have a real debate. So, all right. But Victor disagree with.
No, I strongly disagree.
with
And first of all, I
So-
think the president should respect the independence of the executive as well as the legislature. I think he is shirking his responsibility, and I think he is taking his responsibility and giving it to.
Yeah, but it's not like only the senators are making a picking. There are other people running. You got his chief
They
of
should not
staff.
be
you got people
involved. I don't think the senators should be involved at all in the vetting, even if they are doing so behind the scenes. But it shouldn't make it so public as to nullify the demarcation that should really exist between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. You know, we have three independent branches of government.
Yeah,
So-
on the books, yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
can we come?
That do say on the books. But
Yeah.
go ahead. Chime in here, please, on the book.
I think is I think we're misunderstanding this. It's not how it's done. So because Mr. Nangwe just said, there are two different branches of government, and it's both to respect, they're co-equal. So the executive should not be allowed to armstrong his way into the legislative branch. What to do is this: you have a reputable individual, somebody who's of trust and close to the party. Sometimes, most times, they have somebody who is experienced or who have served in the legislature, senator or representative, whatever, who have the contact and the rapprochement with all of the members. That person is the one designated to take the candidate to all of the senators and meet the senators, to meet them and talk to them, but to have an understanding of who this person is and give an insight. But a sitting senator taking that nominee around, and that's a conflict, that's an appearance of a conflict of interest and a pay for play. So even in America, they don't do that. If Biden or Trump or whoever appointed a nominated somebody to the Senate, that person would be let me just finish. That person would be escorted or accompanied by a seasoned individual, somebody who has served, somebody who have a good contact, who is with good rapprochement and with the rest of the team. That person would be the one to take you around, but not a sitting senator. That's a breach.
Yeah, so quickly.
Like in
No, quickly. I want to remind everybody, the tapes are still there. You can still see Schumer taking Ketanji around the Senate halls.
No, but Dr. Duke, that is
Yeah,
after
but
the nomination.
when I give you an example, you say, "Oh no, that's America."
After the
Yeah, but when I give you an example, you say that's America. Everybody saw Ketanji being taken around the Senate by Schumer, introducing her and defending her.
No.
That is after the nomination, Dr. Duke, not before the nomination.
After the not
but you cutting hair. You're trying to split my hair. No, you're trying to split my hair. No,
he will meet with her.
That's politics. That's party politics. Yeah, but that's party politics, my friend. Government comes in, administration win election. They control the House. They control the Senate. They use it to implement their policies and get the people through.
It's just a clip you see on television, or you watch the news and you see that clip, but it doesn't mean he's taking her around. He can do that.
But it was said it takes Schumer to get them around to make the Senate run in the Senate.
All right, gentlemen, one at a time. So Jimmy,
okay, Bill.
Jimmy has
okay.
Go ahead.
Here's what needs to happen. You need a vetting committee. The president doesn't know all the various skills of everybody in the country. And he may come up and say, I need a good lands and mine minister. He may not have anybody in mind. So he has to appoint a committee to come up with names of professionals and managers that will be able to fit the position. and they vet these people, and then they send the top, whoever comes on top, they send that person's names forward. So there has to be a process for the president to make these nominations. All right. And if he's using members of the Senate, I wouldn't do that. And because the people are in the Senate and in the legislature, they are influenced politically. They have driven interests.
Previous every member. Sorry, previous, not current.
Yeah,
previous,
right.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, they're driven by other interests. You need a professional organization, all right, who will not just do it because of the paid to play, but they're looking at the stature of that person, their past performance, the educational background. They would have vetted. For instance, this debacle about the foreign minister, it shouldn't even be existing. They should have known whether or not she has degrees or doesn't have degrees or anything else like that. All that should have been done way ahead of time. And then, okay, only then, after doing the proper research, then you pick someone to go carry out the mission. And even though you pick that person still has to take the strategy portrayed by the president and implement it. So it should be a much better process in doing this, not by friends.
And what makes it even bad, Leo, is that we're hearing reports that the president is looking for plausible deniability. You know, we understand he's under a lot of pressure from some members of the coalition, so you want to tell them, see, I didn't vet this president, I didn't make this recommendation. So go and talk to Dillon or Yombly Kanga and all of that, you know. But no, he shouldn't be doing that. He is the president. The buck stops with him.
But okay, all of this comes down to what? No, that's to serve as minister.
So here,
ask one question. We are saying this. We are discussing his.
So that I'll do quickly.
His appointment process. Like Victor just said, that everybody said, oh, he left it to committee. Senators are fighting. Okay, what is the end result we have?
The end result is the end result we have.
How is that reflected in the appointments we have?
The problem is that is now some names are being announced and then withdrawn from the appointments. Yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah, like the case with the Minister of Justice.
The Minister of Justice, So,
and I think some other withdrawal were done again today.
Yeah, but is he the man setting up his government? Give him a break, guys. How he doing it? He's doing it at midnight or he's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Get him a break. You guys, you reading books or what? What kind of book are you reading?
I will let
man, the people read too much book.
All right, Dr. Du, the same way we gave you a break when you said you gave your time to Jimmy, and then you came right back after Jimmy talked for 5 hours, then you came right back and talked for another 3 hours. So
let me let honorable agrees, but quickly, let me let you tell me because I need one to respond.
I think it still is the requirement to serve as a minister proper. You must at least have the minimum of a master's degree. And
where is the requirement?
Where
is that requirement?
Might be there. I don't know if they still have it, but I know
people that are appointed to administrators that the ministers are not master degree holders. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're
equivalent. There's some people who got like
okay, you're right.
Our current president right now. Yeah. What he had, I think he has a BSc, right?
Yeah, he has a bachelor.
But the time he got that bachelor degree, you know that way what we say Charlie Kington.
Yeah.
If you try to bring that on par with what we're getting right now, you should be a PhD, right? So you look at the experience. That's how I come to the next thing. So at least the minimum is master's degree. Then you go to the experience of that person, the capability to come. Because you must have served at least at certain high level of managerial level in certain institution, what have you. So all that helps make the vetting process a little easier. And your library is small. We almost all of us know everybody. So it's just easier to do the background. You'll serve maybe. So if you find the ministers now, those who've been appointed are people who have served in these particular positions before, who are just coming back and be recycled. Not in a bad way, in a good way, not recycled. But so it makes it easier for the vetting. So at least a master's degree minimum or the equivalent and service with experience and what have you.
All right, thank you. So quickly, let me go around now. Guys, time for our favorite time. I hope you've been thinking about your Tapata of the week. If you haven't found it already, we want to make sure we get a Tapata of the week here from each of you. And I will start with my man, Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, what's your Tapata of the week?
My Tapata, what we're just talking about. I do not understand how will you
Jimmy
appoint.
has us reignited the whole debate. Go ahead.
How will you appoint somebody, then you withdraw their name?
Dr.
I don't. Me, if you're going to do something, come up with a way how you would do it. Make up your mind. If this wishy-washy, when you do it so then you turn it so that it makes you a whole administrator appear weak. If you knew very well you have Senator Prince Johnson in the wings, making his recommendations. All these things, before you come up with this decision, you have to put it together and come up with one decision, not make a decision then before you know 18. But I think that is crippling the administration, the authoritativeness of the administration.
Thank you. So your Tabata of the week, that is issue. Victor, what's your Tabata of the week, my friend?
Look, my Tabata of the week would be all these figures that are being thrown around, 40 million here.
You don't know how much in your
Exactly. You don't know how much you got in your treasury, and then then the other man say, but I put somebody on that side, you need to look at it. I think that's my Tabata of the week.
No, thank you. Honorable Grease, what's your Tabata of the week?
My Tabata of the week is the address, national address. The president said we're in a dire need. We're in a crisis. Our youth has been affected. It's an epidemic. So it means there's an urgency for drugs. And then he said the solution would be that he and his vice president would do drug tests. And he urged everybody. So the question now, everybody asking, if you and the vice president did the drug test, and all the cabinet members, how will it help the youth in the street being affected with drugs? So what a positive impact. So I'm on top of that right there.
Yeah, I can say they might include alcohol too, because alcohol is substance too. So that one will be serious problem. They include alcohol,
they trying to die in the street from drugs, illicit drugs. Well, I would take that. When I did the test, it would be fun.
but Dr. Duke, what's your Tabata of the week?
Well, actually, I would agree with Bill on this one. I mean, that I thought presidents have taken a drug test. Who expects you to be smoking marijuana at midnight in the morning? I mean, if you did, who cares? You're president.
I was just about to say, you're the president of the republic. So even
Mr. President, you've been smoking some drugs. No, I was passing by the corridor and somebody was smoking.
I smell something while I'm passing.
Yeah.
This is why I say he better be careful of the people who are around him.
Mr. President, did somebody put something in your cigar? Oh yeah, that cigar was different.
But I really believe this is yet another attempt, right, to draw a contrast between the outgoing and the incoming. You know how we all heard about Jimmy.
So, Mr. President, are you tired or are you high? Okay, guys.
Okay, so you're saying that the outgoing Brown said the president taking drug tests and pure Tapata.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dr. Do your honorable things. I end the show. Thank you so much for bringing your time. Okay. My Tabata of the week really was the massive security breach with our EPS, where someone got in such close proximity of the president at that university graduation. I mean, there's absolutely no excuse how somebody should get so close that he can wrap his hand around the president's neck. Like, I can't understand it. That was a complete Tabata. So whatever the EPS is doing, I hope they know Joseph Boaga live now for Joseph Boaga alone anymore. Joseph Boaga live at national security property. Please, we beg you. You're taking our president without one crisis. You're keep him safe. So that's my Tabata of the week. But
and to your point, Leo, the initial footage. They were making an argument that was an overzealous fan who was drawing out. But
He being an overzealous fan.
There was another angle today that was circulating. This guy was very intentional. If you look at the way he snuck between the people, among the people, and made his way all the way to the front. Yeah. That was someone who really premeditated what he did.
Absolutely. But let's read some of the tabatas here. Our people have been going, the viewers been going fast and furious with their tabatas. So let's read some of it. Sam Waller said the tabata of the week is an ongoing decade-long order in which the SONA occurs as president's transition. It will make so much sense for the SONA to be done by the outgoing president, where they give the state of the nation they are leaving behind. That might be an effective way. So he's basically saying, I agree with him. That the state of the nation is supposed to be the man who presided for the whole
that makes sense too.
Who don't know nothing happy that can be report on a report that he has said doesn't know what he is in.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
Exactly what I was saying.
And there's all the conflicting numbers, right?
Then we start having problems with having money in a consolidated account. They're not correct. Elvis Morris says, my tabata is JMB nephew going to Nokal. Total tabata. Okay. I think Jacob Akoli is in charge.
Broke.
Officer in charge.
Jacob Akoli?
Yeah, Jacob Akoli is officer in charge of Nokal right now. That announcement was made by the president. Emmanuel Bro says, my tabata of the week is seeing Max Densas at the Capitol building today in favor of Foreign Minister Designate Sarah Besson Nati. Tabata. I mean, Sarah Minister Designate Sarah Besson Nati were in full force today with her crew. So, but everybody, to our viewers out there, Dr. Duke, Honorable Greaves, quickly, any 30 seconds closing comments, parting comments tonight for our viewers.
I'll go first. I would like to thank everybody for the lively debate. I think we touch on the issues, and I think we don't always agree, but we do care about the issues. So that's what matters, and I look forward to more of it in the week coming in. Thank you all.
Thank you. Honorable Greaves, go ahead. Closing comments.
So the last issue you just touched on, the security situation, is very complicated, and you have to be a close protector to understand what really happened. So we should be very careful how we talk. The next time we'll have time, we'll enumerate further on that, because I'm a trained close protector, VIP protection, all that, and I serve with the SSS as well. We'll go into protocol, so I can give you one or two on the issues of the my accession of, because I want to clarify this, in ambiguous. If you give a message and it provides more questions than answers, and if it's left open to more interpretations and misinterpretations, it is a problem. It is ambiguous. Right now, our civil servants are confused. They were happy, cheering for the president. After that message, they are now despondent. They don't know. He's mentioned 700,000 strength, the numerical strength of the civil servant. You talk about the will bills. The budget is so high, 300 million. So in there, he left everything inconclusive. They don't know if he's going to downsize or right size, or they don't know if he's going to the harmonization to the hurricane crime. They don't know if he's going to cut down.
I said, I'm gonna start another debate here again. Where you going? But anyway,
when I use the word ambiguous, people like jump. They don't understand what I'm talking about. So I can go into more the whole. I can dissect the whole speech and tell you every point. But the 30 second will stay, and I will stop right there. So our people are more worried. The youth in the street suffering from narcotic, illicit drugs, what have you. They don't understand what's going to happen for them. As well as, I will end on this one. The I was talking to them, it slipped my head. Anyway, so I was starting.
Thank you.
I want to go quick, succinctly, so I can, but it's okay. It's okay.
No, thank you very much, Jimmy Eastman. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's the selection of his personnel and his ability to communicate his vision and come up with a strategy will be either his success or his failure. Because if you leave it solely with the personnel we've seen in the WEA administration, they tend not to do enough. He's going to have to be as forceful as ever to make sure his chief lieutenants perform the way they should. So I wish him well, but if what I would do, I will form a core group, and from that group, I will know who to bring closer to me.
Okay.
Where are you going home?
Thank you.
Huh?
Victor, send us home.
Well, I would say I'm really encouraging this government to be a little bit more forward-looking. I know they're just coming in, they're constituting the government and all of that, but why are we wasting time over 40 million and 20 million here? And they have a lot. There's a lot ahead of us. I think they should get on with the task already. I read the education minister. The budget allotted in the money allotted into the budget for education, a paltry 12% compared to the salary, that is taking up almost 45 to 50% of the budget. So there is a whole lot that this government, they thinking outside the box. I'm really hoping, they meant what they were saying, even though as far as the appointment we're seeing, a lot of the appointees are just a repeat of the same more and more. So we're really hoping that, they will find more creative, smarter ways to, a lot smarter ways to do things. There are a lot of qualified, young, very, very enterprising Liberians in Liberia and around the world. Call on them. If you don't want to appoint them in government, set up a think tank, let them advise you. But they need to be bold, and they need to do it quickly, and they need to think outside the box. We're sick and tired of the same people coming back over and over. They're not even qualified people in Liberia.
All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Beautiful debate, great panelists as always. Lots of exchanges going back and forth, but lots of wisdom as well to be shared. Thank you, everybody. As we often say, focus on Liberia. We are all Liberians, no matter how much.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.